One of my favorite guys to watch right now is Marlon Tajik. This guy's a young up-and-comer, just got his black belt, won double gold at No-Gi Worlds, and he uses a really specific sequence that I want to talk about here today, where he's from the half butterfly using a far arm drag grip to work into the leg locks. I think there's a really effective, really interesting sequence that Marlon hits as well as anybody out there right now. We're going to take a look at a few other examples from some other people. Let's get into it. So this far arm drag grip is not just a great way to threaten the back, but to threaten the submission. Let's take a look at exactly how Marlon is getting into a lot of this. We have some matches pulled here from his IBJJF season. You're going to see here that Marlon starts in a half butterfly guard with his legs to the inside here, but 2-on-1 on this far arm here, where he's got his hand up in the tricep, he's got one hand here on the wrist, but he's got these to opposite sides. A lot of people, when they drag from a half guard, from the guard in general, they're trying to go to the same side so they can attack the back very quickly. There's a little bit of a different sequence that offers you a few different advantages compared to that. Let's take a look at this full example first before we get too crazy here. He's going to pull the person up over the top. He's going to enter into the legs immediately. He's going to use this to transition right into the submission with the heel hook. Great win from Marlon Tajik here as he gets the dub. There's the tap. Marlon gets it done. Let's take a look at this entire sequence over again so that we can talk a little bit more about exactly what's going on here. So Marlon's going to pull, and this half butterfly guard is going to come into play whenever the opponent tries to stay low, which is becoming very, very common. As Marlon sets up this low grip, he pulls the person up over top of him, pulling the person to their hands, to their knees, where their balance is broken. Once the balance is broken, he's able to invert, and he's able to enter into the legs with a few different entries, false reaps, kani basamis, things like that. Once he's into there, Marlon has a whole arsenal of leg locks that he likes to go to. We're going to take a look at a few here. Here you see more of a top side, inside heel hook, where he's finishing on his bottom hip and ripping the heel and separating right there to get the tap. Vicious one there from Marlon Tajik. I want to stop right now. I want to go ahead and take a look at just the back take. Marlon tends not to take the back, but this far arm drag grip still is a great way to take the back. And the best example, I think, is from Gordon Ryan at his last ADCC 2024, where in the first round he took on Heike Jusela. Heike's a big, tough guy from Europe, one of the trials winners out there. He was taking on Gordon first round, and Gordon goes right to the same sequence. Let's take a look right here at what Gordon does. So he sets up this far arm drag with the half butterfly. Here, let's stop right here and just take a look at this position and talk about all of the advantages that this is going to create. There's really like 5 different things going on here at once. First, you have this far arm drag grip, one hand up in the tricep, one hand down on the wrist, where you're able to really secure yourself to the person. This helps create a lot of connection to your opponent. But the problem with an arm drag is you have that upper body connection, you're often losing a lower body connection. Not the case here, because you're clamping down. You can see with Gordon with his left foot in this case, is clamping down over the top of Heike's leg, making it so Heike can't really move back. Heike can't really stand up very well. It's becoming a lot of connection at the upper body and lower body. But the thing with this connection is it's a diagonal control. We talk about diagonal control a lot when we talk about controlling from the back, right? You want the hook on the left side. That means you usually want the seatbelt on the right side if you only have one hook in. Here's the same idea. It's just happening from the other side, from in front. Also notice, this is really important here, the head position. Usually in wrestling and guard, you want to get your head a little closer, take in more space, especially if you're doing something like searching for an underhook. It's very common to get your head in the situation and get what they call dominant head position. Here, you're actually giving away dominant head position. You're taking the outside head position, as it would be known, because that's going to make it easier for you to drag around this corner. The speed of the drag and the effectiveness of the drag is often going to be a lot faster when your cross shoulders are closer together. What exactly does that mean? In this case, it's Gordon's right shoulder and Heike's right shoulder. The closer that Gordon can get those two shoulders to each other before he starts this drag, the quicker the drag is going to come on. And so by giving away the head position, you actually bring the two shoulders closer and make the drag much more of a threat. Now let's go ahead and look at what happens after this, now that Gordon's decided to set up this position and go for it. You see Heike is trying to fight the hand, trying to fish this out. It's a little bit of hand fighting to get that hand down into the inside. Once that hand is down into the inside, the drag is going to become very easy. If the hand stays up into the outside, then pulling the person up over top of you and entering into some kind of submission is usually going to be the way. Let's go ahead and take a look at Gordon taking his leg out, sitting in the corner, coming up to the turtle, and controlling the position. From here, he's going to be able to take the back, choke the person. We're not going to take a look at that, but you see the effectiveness of this arm drag. Let's go back and take another look at this. You see he's set up the low half butterfly where he clamps over that bottom leg, and now it's a matter of collecting at the upper body with this drag grip, giving away the head position, taking the leg out, and wrestling his way around to get the reversal and get the sweep. This is a sweep that anybody can use. The reason that this position is so effective is it lets you be slow. It lets you be very controlled. It lets you create an incredible amount of connection that gives you time to operate in these positions. It's a very strong sequence. Let's go back to Marlon and take a few more looks at some of the ways that he's using this to enter into the legs, because if you can use this to finish fights, even better. Here we have Marlon again back in IBJJF competition. You're gonna see this same little sequence, right, where he sets up the half butterfly, getting his leg to the inside, and from there he's gonna start finding this far drag grip. 1 and 2. And here you see the position is basically already set up. Marlon has his half butterfly guard. He's gonna sit up with this drag and give away the head position. His opponent does a good job of pressuring in, but that pressure is only gonna let Marlon roll back. As Marlon rolls back, what's really important with that is that he makes sure that his back, his spine, is rounded. If your back is rounded, you're gonna be able to roll and pull the person up over top of you. If your back is very flat, you tend to just lay flat on the mat. That's where you see a lot of guys get body locked. That's where you see a lot of guys get their guard pass and take the pressure. Not the best thing in the world. But you see that Marlon is able to throw his opponent up over the top and then throw that leg in for the Kani Basami and a quick heel hook finish. Belly down heel hook finish. Incredible from him. Let's go back, take another look, maybe a little slower this time. Here's the sequence again. Marlon is setting up his half butterfly. He drags. The person tries to pressure in, but that just makes it easier for Marlon to throw the person up over top of him and roll underneath. As they go up and you go underneath, the legs become very light and easy to attach to, which Marlon does with this little back step half Kani Basami action that he does here. From there, it's just a matter of exposing the heel and working towards his belly down inside heel hook. We're not gonna break those down too crazy today, but incredible finish there from Marlon, right? We're gonna take a look at Marlon hitting this from ADCC competition. He did a great job at ADCC European trials, the first trials earlier this year, taking third at 88 kilos. This guy's an up-and-comer, I'm telling you. Here we're gonna see the same setup. There's the drag grip, there's the half butterfly, so you know what's coming, pulling the person up over the top. His opponent here actually does a pretty good job of slipping out and pulling back off it. Maybe not the best connection in this case, but you still see the intention as he's gonna go right back to it and pull the person in. As Marlon does connect to the legs, his opponent is doing a good job of hiding his leg from this same Kani Basami entry that we just saw, right? This same kind of saddle where you kick around. So instead, Marlon's gonna do a really smart thing and go off to the other leg, which is presenting itself. This entire sequence has been showing us, as the person takes away one thing, they're giving another thing. Now this person just took away the second thing, here comes a third thing, right? There's a very systematic position they'll continue to let you do attack submissions. So now Marlon exposes this single leg X, hooks onto an Achilles grip, and he's gonna do this little belly down Achilles lock that's really nice. He's gonna throw this leg up over the top for the reap. He has the Achilles grip, gets the submission. Let's go back and take a look at this, right? Marlon gets to his grips, has his half butterfly, has the head position correct. He's looking to throw his opponent up over the top. Does not get as good of an off balance this time, but that's still enough for him to be able to start to float into the legs and get into this really interesting Achilles grip, this top side ankle lock. A lot of times IBJJF color belts, for example, this is gonna be a DQ, obviously ADCC, this is all well and good. Let's talk about this Achilles lock just a little bit. Here you see Marlon's left leg throwing up over the top for a very deep reap, right? Up over the top of the hip, making it so his opponent cannot turn in. There is pressure against the knee. At the same time, Marlon has a deep grip on the Achilles, bending back at the foot. These are two different forces, both breaking at the leg at the same time, creating a ton of tension, a ton of torque, and getting the tap in this ADCC trials match still pretty early on. One last example of Marlon's that I want to talk about. You actually see the same entry twice from that same tournament in the same match. I think this is the very next round. His opponent is doing a good job of escaping and defending, but Marlon's still able to get to it, so I thought this was a good example to go ahead and take a look at. Let's take a look. So as we're starting here, you can already see the issue. The opponent is up on 2 feet, and that's gonna make this position much harder to get, right? From here, you're usually just looking to wrestle, you're looking to enter legs. Once the person starts blocking off more and drops down, that's when the arms become a lot more available. That's when these far drag grips become a lot more of an issue, right? And so I think that we're gonna see it here, yet the opponent decides he doesn't want to play around with the leg locks. Instead, he's going to drop down, try to add a little pressure to this situation, try to manage things down here. So Marlon has to find a new way to get into this. He's going to be able to accomplish that. Let's take a look. Same drag grip with a little bit of hand fighting, but he's got everything secure now for the most part. You can see that with his left hand, he doesn't have the wrist. He's having a little bit of trouble getting to it, but it's still enough where he's able to throw the person up over the top and start to enter into a false reap position here. His opponent does a great job of keeping his heel down and his leg full of weight, which is making it very hard for Marlon to skip around to the outside and enter in with this same Kani Basami like we've seen a few times here already. But eventually, he is able to bring that person's hand to the mat, and as he brings the hand to the mat, he's able to cut the corner and find enough space to get that leg out and enter into this. From this position, Marlon is going to try to counter his opponent's roll by bringing the leg to the outside for that outside Ashi and that outside heel hook. We saw that, for example, when Gordon Ryan fought Josh Saunders at WNO, right? It's become a very popular way to heel hook with the feet tucked one way, the heel tucked the other way. But his opponent does a really good job in this case of rolling out and escaping his knee from Marlon's knee line and kind of resetting the position. So he's not going to get the submission this specific time, but we're going to see Marlon use the same entry one more time. Let's go ahead and take a look one more time at this entry as Marlon gets it. So Marlon starts to throw this person up over top, and this guy's doing a good job of staying low, pressuring and wrestling back into the position and not giving Marlon a good chance to elevate him up over the top. Notice his opponent's head, and how his opponent's head does not go far over the top of him like we saw in some of those earlier examples. Instead, Marlon is stuck trying to fight a pretty well-based opponent who's got this here. What's going to be important here now is his opponent's hands. If you see his opponent's hands go to the mat, Marlon's probably going to be able to get into this leg lock, which is what's going to happen. If the hands were able to stay fighting the position and he's able to keep his balance throughout, he's probably going to be able to find some more ways to try to get out of this, right? Let's take a look. Boom. There's the hand going to the mat, and there's Marlon already cutting the corner, high-level athlete, knows the game, already making the transition. Once he enters in, his opponent, still on top of things, does a good job of rolling and trying to be able to get out of this, right? He's escaping his knee from Marlon's knee line. Marlon tries to transition it off, but the things have already degraded to the point he's not going to be able to lock that up, right? But, like I said, there's another example later in this match where Marlon is going to be able to close the show using a very similar setup. Let's take a look right now. All right, here we are. You see his opponent actually isn't on two knees, kind of like we were talking about earlier, important to be on two knees, but he's still low enough for this to be a really effective situation in the sequence. For example, you see this a lot when guys are doing the knee cut, when guys are camping. You still see guys coming up and threatening with this same kind of sequence. So let's take a look here in full speed. There's the half butterfly. Here's the drag grip. You see that same battle going on at the wrist, trying to get his opponent out. Now, Marlon, instead of pulling and dragging with that grip, uses a slightly different reaction. His opponent, instead of throwing his balance up over the top of him, his opponent postures so far out of the position that he leaves his lower body behind. And as he leaves his lower body behind, Marlon is quick to jump on it and enter into this false reap. So now let's look at, instead of bringing him up over the top, it's almost a backwards kind of entry, right? So here you see the opponent pull up and out of the top, and as he does, where do Marlon's hands go? Marlon's hands go to the leg and are immediately looking for this deep wrap on the leg. From there, he pressures and bridges into his opponent so that he can free his bottom leg and lock into this saddle type of position. From here, Marlon is the one to initiate things, and I think that's ultimately what makes the big difference here, why he was able to get the second one and not the first one. On the first one, it was his opponent who started that roll early and was able to escape because of it. Here, Marlon started the sequence, bringing the leg to the outside, and he's eventually going to get this nice, looks like an outside heel hook finish. Actually, no, I take it back. He switches off to the Achilles grip and finishes in a pretty similar way to what we were looking at earlier, having to really take his opponent through a couple of different defensive cycles, but it's a nice Achilles grip there for Marlon to finish on that leg lock. If you guys have seen all of these, I think you now are starting to get a sense of why this far arm drag half butterfly guard combination really is so powerful as a leg locking tool, as a back taking tool, as a position where you can spend a lot of time continuing to look and search and hunt and set the tone of a match. Marlon Tajik, one of the best submission hunters that I see in the game coming up right now. This is just one thing that we could have talked about from his game that's pretty interesting, so make sure you go ahead and take a look at him the next time he's going to be coming up. I know he's going to have a really busy 2026. Looking forward to all the things that are happening. If there are other techniques or videos or grapplers that you guys want us to be breaking down, make sure you drop it in the comments. My name is Joe Gilpin. We'll be back soon.